So very good morning friends. Today we are moving ahead with new topic, income from house property. If I'm talking about this head, I have divided this head in three parts. Total 6 sections are there. First is about chargeability, second is about reductions in areas, third is about ownership. Chargeability, section 22 is charging section under the head IFHP. Section 23 is about determination of annual value. Then section 24 is talking about certain deductions, that is standard deduction and interest on borrowing capital. Section 25 is inadmissible deductions, and section 25A is arrears or unrealized rent. Section 26 is co-ownership. What will be the case if there are multiple owners of one house property? And section 27 is talking about deemed ownership, right? So one by one we'll study all these 6 questions. First question in my mind, that see, it's a final level now. In a IPCC intermediate, we just need to calculate some questions. So we have that mechanism in our mind that compute the gross annual value first, deduct municipal tax, we reach to the NAV, then standard deductions and all that things. It is still there in a CA final also, but now we need some more advanced knowledge on that part. So we need to make some analysis also, right? So first of all, tell me one thing, if you have a house property, what you can do if you want to generate income? What you can do? Just think. See, if you develop this kind of thinking, right, multiple approaches if you are thinking, then what happens? That you will get clarity in your mind. What if this? What if this? It will create questions in your mind and you will get answers from that also. So my first question, what we can do if we have some property and we want to generate income? What we can do? We can do two things. First, I can sell that property, right? And second, I can let out that property. Two things I have. Now, in first case, if I am selling that property, in that case, there will be a gain, or I can say profit. And in case of letting out, rental income will be there. We have discussed in our first session about definition of income. It says income means what? A periodical income or revenue receipt, right? So revenue receipt is rental income, definitely income for the purpose of income tax. But if I'm selling that property, it will be a capital receipt in my hand. But that capital receipt is also taxable, or also considered as an income first. Let's forget about taxability as of now. It's also income for the purpose of income tax, as we know that it is included in the definition section 2 clause 24 that we have discussed in the first, right? So that capital receipt will be taxable under the head capital gain, section 45, that we will see later on. So right now we have in our discussion is rental income. So to discuss about this, first of all, tell me one thing, if I have a house property, what kind of uses I can do? House property means a residential building, a commercial building, factory building, etc. Everything is a house property, first. So what usage can I do? I can use it for my own residential purpose. Second, the type of property I'm talking about right now, it's a residential, it may be commercial, but vacant land shall not be considered under that income from other house property. If there is a vacant land and if any income is generated, then income shall be chargeable under that business profession or IFOS, that we'll study later on. So right now vacant land is not in our discussion. So there may be a residential property or maybe a commercial property. Now question arises, what kind of use that I can do from that property? First, I'm using for my own self-residence purpose. Second, I have let out the same. And third is I'm carrying on my own business. For example, I'm a practicing chartered accountant. I have my office. It's my own profession I'm running on this particular premise, right? So three uses: self-residence purpose, or either letting out, or on business. In case of letting out, once again, two parts will be there. Letting out is not a main business of mine, right? It's not a regular activity that I'm doing. Or second part is letting out is a main business. Then what happens now? In case of first, self-residence, and if letting out is not my main business, then income will be chargeable under the head IFHP, and provision of income from house property shall apply. And I need to determine annual value as per section 23. Clear? But what if I'm carrying my own business or letting out is my main business? What happen in this case? In that case, income such property shall be considered as a use for the purpose of business and profession, and provisions of PGBP shall apply. What kind of provisions? Depreciation, repair, maintenance, interest on that loan, etc. Right? So in that case, this property will be considered as an asset for the purpose of business, and accordingly a provision of PGBP. Now question arises, sir, how can I determine? See, one by one I'm generating a question, right, and I'm answering your questions. So that what happens, I'm thinking on that part, I'm getting the questions, I'm getting the answer, so that my fundas will be cleared. That we need to keep in mind. So how can I say that asset is used for the purpose of business or not? Or I can say my main activity is not to letting out business or not. How can I determine on that basis? You can see in this image, what you can see? The Phoenix Mall, right? Phoenix Market City. You just tell me one thing. Builder of this mall, what was the intention of them behind building this mall? Can you tell me? Just think about it. If I'm building a super mall, then what would be my intention? My intention would be to lease out that shops and etc., which I concentrate, and generate a rental income from that. Definitely my main object is what? Construct such kind of building, or to acquire such a kind of building, letting out of the same, and generate income. Okay. Two major judgments, landmark judgments from Apex Code, that is, first is Rayala Corporation and second is Chennai Properties and Investment. We'll discuss this also. So how can I say that my main business is letting out of the property, and my income from that letting out will be taxable under that income from other sources? How can I say that? So first I need to check what is my main object. In case of company, I can check out what? Memorandum. In case of partnership, I can once again see the object clause, or there is some partnership deed. What if in case of proprietorship, there is no agreement, no MOA, no deed? What we can do in that? I need to check what is my substantial source of income. If I can prove that my substantial source of income is letting out only, then I can say that I can charge that income under that PGB. Right? Clear everyone? Okay. So let me tell you a roadmap how to compute income under this head. First is I need to determine, first let me tell you, there are three types of properties. You know very well, there's right let out property, dim let out, and self-occupied. We'll discuss if you are not having any idea about it. First I need to determine gross annual value, then second I need to determine municipal taxes. Result of the difference between these two will be my net annual value. Once again, there is a standard deduction of 30% allowed. Interest on borrowed capital will be allowed, and the resultant will be income from house property. So guys, is specific format is there. No need to worry about this. If they're asking you question that compute income from house property, just do one thing. Make this table 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7 rows will be there. Fixed format, no change. As I discussed in my first session that income from house property, income from salary and capital gain have fixed computational format that, and it is given, right? But in case of business profession and IFRS, there are no such specific format. Okay. So in case of IFHP, you need to compute this thing. So what things I need to compute? First, I want to compute GAV. Then I need ER and AR. ER is expected rent and AR is a actual rent, right? Then comparison of both the things. Then I need to discuss about municipal taxes. Then what are the provisions of interest and standard deduction, etc. That we will discuss one by one. Okay. So now let's have some overview about charging section and all. First, section 22 is talking about, just a minute. Section 22 is charging section of this head. What it says, see, the annual value of property. First of all, they said annual value. So first question arises, sir, what do you mean by annual value? That we will discuss in section 23. Consists of any building or lands appurtenant thereto. What does it mean? Building or land appurtenant thereto. As I have discussed that vacant land is not considered under the head IFHP. However, if any land which is connected with that particular building, like parking lots, garage, etc., that will be considered as IFHP. That to which the assessee is the owner. The first condition is assessee must be owner. If you are not owner, then there is no question of income from house property in your case. Shall be chargeable to income tax under the head of income from house property. So what happens if this kind of transaction, just tell me one thing, say Mr. A, Mr. B and Mr. C. Now Mr. A is owner of certain property, say, and Mr. B is paying rent. Mr. B has let out this property and Mr. A is receiving rent from Mr. B. So Mr. A is owner as of now, and whatever the rental income that he is receiving, that will be taxable under the head IFHP, because condition is satisfied, he is the owner. But Mr. B has sublet, I can say sublet, to Mr. C that particular property, and Mr. C is also paying rent to Mr. B. Now Mr. B is receiving rental income, but it is not IFHP. Why? Because Mr. B is not owner. So what happened to that income? What the treatment should be given? That we'll see in under the PGBP also. It is known as subletting income. So treatment would be like this: rent to Mr. A, right? It is my expense. If I am carrying out business, Mr. B is carrying out business, then rent paid to Mr. A would be my expense. I will definitely debit this to my P&L account, sure. And rent from Mr. C, that is my income, so I will take net expense under the head PGBP, right? As of now, just have this idea. We'll discuss later on in PGBP also. Okay, it's clear, guys? Okay. Now, analysis of the charging section. What it says: annual value shall be determined in accordance with provision of section 23, as I said earlier. Section 23. Property consisting of any building or land appurtenant thereto, of which assessee is the owner. So first condition, assessee must be the owner, or I can say deemed owner. Okay. Building include not only residential building but also factory building, that already I have discussed. Land apartment means land connected with the building like garden, parking, etc. However, vacant land and assets other than building shall be chargeable under the head PGP or IFRS. Assets other than building, we need to consider only building under this head. If I have a car and I have given some person on a rental basis for a day or 2 or 3, then rental income from that car will not be my IFHP, right? IFRS or PGP. Income from property situated outside India shall also be taxable. If I have any property outside India, then annual value of that shall be also considered under that IFHP, right? Assessee must be owner or deemed owner as per section 27 during the previous year. During the previous year, I must be the owner if I want that income shall be taxable under income to be taxable under IFHP. It is immaterial whether he is the owner in assessment year. Now, what does it want to say? What does it mean? He must be owner during the previous year, but it is not necessary that he must be owner during the assessment year also. For example, financial year 2020-21, if I am talking about, I was the owner in that particular year. On 1st April, I have sold that house property. Now I am not owner. Then, if I am not owner, then you say that, sir, there is no question of the income that at all, na? If I am an owner during the previous year, then if any income that is generated, that will be computed, right? But I am not owner at all in the assessment year, then there is no question of income also, na? You getting my point, right? Let me give you one more example when we'll discuss about recovery of the unrealized rent, okay, or the arrears and etc. Now tell me one thing, in 2016, for example, I have given my house property to Mr. A. And on that time in 2016, Mr. A vacated my property without paying rent, and there was some bad debt for me, or I can say unrealized rent of 2 months, or for example say 2 months, 50,000 rupees were there, and Mr. B has vacated the property, Mr. A has vacated the property without giving rent. Thereafter, he has vacated the property in 2017. I have sold that house property. Now I am not owner, but 2016 I was owner. So I have considered for that particular year income under that IFHP. But in 2017, I have sold that house property. Now I am no more owner of that particular property. Once again, say after 2 years, in 2019, Mr. A comes to me and gives me 50,000 rupees. Says, sir, it was your rental that I was not able to pay at that time, but I am paying you right now. So what? Once again a lottery for me, right? That unrealized rent which was considered in 2016, now it is recovered, or I can say realized. So that unrealized rent shall also be taxable in that particular assessment year in which it is received. So I am not owner in that particular year, right? We'll discuss it, not to worry right now, right? We'll see it in that particular section also. However, assessee need not to be the owner of the land upon which building stands. For example, I have taken a land on a leasehold basis. I am constructing the building on that, and I am letting out the building. Then in that case, income will be taxable. Income can be taxable, I can say, income can be taxable under the head income from house property, right? So it is not necessary that I must be owner of land also. If I am owner of building, I have constructed the building, it is sufficient for me, right? Landmark judgment that I have seen Let discuss in example. Say example number 1. Anirudh let out his property to Abhinav. Abhinav sublets it. How subletting receipt to be assessed in the hands of Abhinav? As I said that it may be IFOS or it may be PGBP. Anish has built a house on leasehold land. He has let out above property and considered rent from such property under the head IFOS. As I said that if land is only leasehold and I have constructed the property, then I can consider this income as a IFHP, right? And the income definitely should be taxable under that IFHP. Now, two cases I have discussed in our previous discussion, earlier discussion of this session. First was there first is Dayala Corporation. Supreme Court judgment in 2016. What it says: leasing out of property by company, PGBP or IFHP. See the case, facts, and I have given it in summary form. If you want to read in detail, you can use study material, but according to me, it's not required. If you are getting just gist of that particular case law, it's enough for you. Okay? Because it's not possible for you to study each and every case laws and that voluminous subject, right? So, summary, what it says: company is in the business of letting out. As I've said that if I want to say that my income is income will be considered as a business income, my main object is a business, then I need to prove two things: that my object and substantial income generating, that is a rental income, right? Company is in the business of letting out of the property. It had entire income under PGBP in return filed by it. Company has filed its return by showing income under that PGBP. AO assessed such income under IFHP. What is the observation of court? Court says assessee has stopped other business activities and continued only business of letting out. Say, I said that my main activity, substantial activity should be what? If my substantial activity is of letting out, then I can say that it's my business, right? Entire income of the company comprises of income from letting out property, and court made reference of the laid down under above case law, that is Chennai properties. So income shall be assessed under that PGBP. Now in case of Chennai properties, what happens? The company's main object under MOA is to acquire and let out the property. Main object is that. It is written in the memorandum itself. It had entire income under PGBP in written filed by it. AO assess such income as IFHP. Once again, there is a dispute, right? So court will interfere. Company's main object under MOA is to acquire and let out property. Therefore, holding the property and earning rent is main object of company. In the return filed by company comprised entire income from letting out such property also, right? So in return also there is only one income, that is letting out. Court said that income shall be assessed under that PG. One more case is there, Raj Dadarkar and Associates versus CIT. Now in this C, here is the reverse scenario. Just let's discuss this case law once again, a little bit different. Whether rental income earned from letting out of premise is to be treated as PGBP or IFHP. Question is same in all of the three cases, but facts are different. In two cases that we have discussed, in which we have proved that income is under that PGBP. Assessee will try to consider this income as a PGBP because he can claim maximum deductions. However, in IFHP, what happens? There is flat deduction of 30% only and interest only, right? You cannot claim real expenditure in that case. If you expended, if your expenditure of 70-80% of your income then you cannot claim, you can claim only 30%, right? So assessee will definitely try for this income under the head PGBP. C. Assessee had acquired the right to conduct. Before discussing this case law, I just need to say that first condition was that assessee must be owner, land owner not required. If he is building owner, then it is fine, right? Substantial income, main object. I need to prove all these things. Now see, assessee had acquired right to conduct market on certain land from Municipal Corporation, Greater Bombay, under an auction 1993. So leasehold properties, right? Land was taken on lease. Appellant spent substantial sums to construct 95 shops and 30 stalls. The assessee treated income from subletting. Subletting is possible only when you are not owner. Here is you are owner, right? You are owner. According to section 27, there is one clause of deemed owner that we'll discuss later on. So according to that, Raj Dadarkar is what? Owner. So here assessee is the owner, so there is no question of subletting at all. Such shops and stalls as business income. The return of the assessee for the assessment year 2000-2001 was reopened and notice under section 148 was. It can be treated as a business income. Court's observation I'm reading right now. It can be treated as a business income if letting out of the premise itself is the business. First, I have said that main object, or I can say substantial activity. In given facts, it was undisputed fact that assessee would be considered to be a deemed owner. Deemed owner is also a owner. The clause provided that the partnership shall take the premise on rent to sublet or to do any other business as may be mutually agreed by the parties from time to time. Clause to be inconclusive. According to court, clause is inconclusive. There is the court is not able to draw any conclusion from that particular clause or to prove that whether it is substantial income of a business or not. And observed that assessee had failed to produce sufficient material to show that entire or substantial income was from letting out of the property. So I have said that there must be a main object and substantial income of yours should be from that particular rental business, right? Then I can say that it is a business income. Otherwise it will not be considered as a what? Business income. The income is to be assessed as IFHP and not PGBP, right? Clear? So that's all, friend, in this discussion. Right now we will move ahead further in our next discussion. Hope you have enjoyed this video, right? So see you in next session on the path of determination of annual value from income from house property. Thank you so much for joining, guys.